heard the term mental diet and focusing on your moods, and the man who controls his mood controls his destiny. And it's like, okay, I get it, but how do I actually control the moods, right? That's what I want to talk about in this video, is how you can learn to actually control your moods. Now, I'm going to say something kind of blunt, and I want everyone to understand that this is coming from a place of love and care, but I want you to start reminding yourself that if you can dwell in a negative feeling and in something that is against what you want, it's not in alignment with the person you want to be, you can learn how to dwell in the wish fulfilled. You can learn how to dwell in the outcome, mindset, feelings, beliefs of the thing that you actually want. Now, some things may be a little bit harder for certain people than others. Like I found some have no issues with love, right? And they just have love all over their life. They don't have issues. And then some others, it's money. They're able to manifest money with no kind of issue. They don't have problems with that. So don't be upset with yourself if you're like, well, that person can do this, but I'm struggling to do it. It's all a learning journey, and we are definitely going to be able to set this foundation of saying, okay, here's how you actually continue to focus on your desired outcome. Here's how you manage your mood. Essentially, you're managing where you're going to dwell and not let circumstances throw you around. And so that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to walk you through a process of beginning the tools for emotional regulation so that you can continue to focus on the desired outcome, the wish fulfilled, your goal that you actually want to obtain. I want to talk really briefly about the 7-day mental diet from Emmet Fox. So I think doing a 7-day mental diet is a phenomenal way to get started in really shifting your mindset and changing where you're dwelling. But oftentimes, at least I found myself in this position, I've heard from so many other people who found themselves in this position, that can be a pain in the butt to do, right? And it can create this like mental battlefield. I'm going to tell you something about myself that's a little almost embarrassing to share. But a few years ago, when I first learned about the mental diet, I was like, oh, I'm on this. I'm going to do it. And I decided to jump in, and let's just say it was a disaster. I essentially found myself where even more negative thoughts were popping up. And when I say negative, I mean, they were everything. Like, this person doesn't like me. I'm going to, not get a promotion at work. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to have this. And it was like everything was coming at me so fast. And I had no tools to understand how to shift my actual mindset. So really quick, before I get too far into this, the 7-day mental diet by Emmet Fox says that you will spend 7 days truly watching your diet, your mental diet though, what's going on in your head. So if you think about a mental diet the same way you would think about a food diet, it is the things that you are ingesting, that you're taking in. Only the mental diet goes a little bit further, because what you're going to do is pay attention to what you dwell in. Now, what this means, the dwell is where you're going to stay. It's not saying you'll never have any negative thought pop up. This is what I did that kind of hurt myself in this. I had an expectation that if I was doing a mental diet, I couldn't have any negative thought come up. So when it popped up into my head, which is inevitable because we're human, when something would pop up into my head, I would get mad at somebody. I would be upset that I got left on red, or I felt like somebody wasn't nice to me, or I didn't like the way I looked in my clothes. I thought I had failed, and I kind of listed myself then as like a mental diet failure. And what I realized is that's not actually the issue, right? That's not what we need to be doing. For a 7-day mental diet, it's truly the awareness, which is the step 1 of making any change in your life. Talk about this a little bit more. When I talk about awareness, you can only change something that you are aware of. If you're not aware that you're doing something, that you don't even know that this is going on for you, how can you change it, right? So awareness in a mental diet or in any kind of change you're trying to make in your life is always going to be step 1. So what I always recommend is that you spend 24 hours with the least amount of judgment towards yourself as possible, just paying attention to where your thoughts are going. And especially when it's around something in particular that you really want to have in life. So let's say you're looking for a love, or you want to go on more dates, or you want to feel more confident, or you want to be physically more fit, or you want to feel healthy, or you want wealth or a career or a job or get into a university. I know I've just done like a huge list. But when you start to pay attention to this specific area, really become consciously aware of what your thoughts are around that, right? How are you talking to yourself? How are you treating your morning? When, like, let's say the topic of your job comes up, what are your first thoughts? Start to use those reactions as just a curiosity tool to understand yourself and your state better. Now, I do want to explain very quickly what a state is, okay? So your state is essentially your identity. It's what you believe true of yourself. And we can have many states, right? So when they talk about, as in Neville Goddard, talks about a mansion, like you have the many mansions that you can create, it's because you can have more than one, right? And they just kind of filter up to create your identity. That identity is what is made manifest in your life. That's a state that you continue to dwell in. So I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am loved, I am cherished, whatever it is, right? So when you're looking at your state and you're starting to pay attention to it, be really honest with yourself. I have someone that I've been working with that has, a very specific person that they really miss in life, right? And they kept saying, well, no, I know that person's going to be with me. I know it. But the more that we dug deep into their behaviors and the way that they were acting and the way they were thinking and the mental diet they were feeding themselves about this relationship, it was not love. I'm sorry, it was desperation. And they came to understand that themselves. They didn't really need me to tell them that. They knew it, right? They knew that there was desperation, not love, that was coming out. And that's what they were filtering out into the world. I have to do this technique. I've got to figure this out. I need to do some sort of magic ritual trick in order to manipulate this person back into my life. And so that behavior was actually creating a cycle of more desperation, more feelings of not being loved, not being cherished, and instead being very frustrated. So those are your states. And when you're starting to do the awareness exercise to start any kind of mental diet, you just want to start paying attention. Like, what am I thinking? How do I talk to myself? This attention is actually the first step that you have to have. It's like having a desire. You want the desire to change, right? Or you want the situation to change. It's because you've become aware of what it currently is, right? So I want to make sure that you're using your awareness. Now, the second step is to start to shift those thoughts. You're going to actually question your own beliefs. Now, when you start to question, it's a lot easier said than done when something is facing you, like smacking you right in the face, right? So you need to learn some emotional regulation tools in order to expand, or not expand, but pause in those moments so that you can choose your reaction. Now, here's the thing. I want to tell you something. Your emotional reactions are a habit, just like smoking would be a habit. Okay, so let's say that you are a smoker and that's something that you want to quit. You've become aware of the fact that you are currently a smoker and you want to be a non-smoker. So at that point, what you're doing is you're saying, okay, I'm aware of my triggers. Let's say one of my triggers is that I get in my car after work and I go to drive home and I want a cigarette, right? You're like, I don't want to continue to do that. This kind of habit is going to be very difficult to break. So don't be upset with yourself if the mental habits and the emotional habits that you've created for, I'm 44 years old. I've been doing some of this stuff for 40 plus years, right? I've learned it from my childhood. I've learned it from my life experiences. I don't need to be upset with myself about it. I'm aware of it now. I know I want to change something. I should celebrate that fact, right? Like, our brains work off of these small wins, and I'll get to that a little bit later. But when you are starting out on this, instead of seeing it as like, I can't believe I let myself get like this. I can't believe that I talk to myself like this. I can't believe, and I'm just upset with me. And trust me, I've been here. This is why I'm sharing this, because I have been in these moments. You are not alone in this. So if you're feeling that way and you're upset, you are not dumb. You are not stupid. You are not getting it. You are not being dumb or, not having common sense. You're just being human, and you're undoing a lifetime of emotional habits. Even if it's 3 years of emotional habits, right? These are built to be your brain's go-to. Your brain wants to make this connection. Don't be upset with yourself. Just be like, okay, this is what it is. Now I'm going to change it. Any kind of habit that you're going to change is going to take some conscious effort on your part. I always love that Carl Jung quote where he says, until you make the unconscious conscious, you will continue to call it fate, right? And I know I just butchered that, but essentially what he's saying, until you start paying attention to it, you're going to call it fate. Well, you're paying attention to it now and you're changing it. That's beautiful. I'm going to leave his actual quote down in the comments because now I feel bad that I butchered it. But it's this moment for you of self-care and self-love that you're actually stepping into this. So the way that you build pause into your life is a few different things. The biggest thing is breath work. So when you are stressed or something has triggered you, the best way to calm yourself is to do what's called a psychological sigh. You take a big deep breath in through the nose, kind of where you can like feel that you're like holding it in the top of your head. And then you're going to take another really quick breath. And then you're going to let it out, and make sure you let it out very slowly and long, right? Like you're going to empty those lungs. It looks like this. I'm not going to lie, it's one of my favorite things to do. It feels so good. So I want you to stop now and try that, right? Can you feel like the relaxation come in you? I can tell I'm already talking a little bit slower. I get going so quick. But when you have those moments, creating this calm, when you do that, you're actually telling your body, you're telling your nervous system, we are safe right now. You're telling your nervous system, let's take a moment and be considerate over the way that we're going to react. Now, this is easier done when you're not in like a super high intense, high emotional state. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is that you start doing this a few times per day. So let's say that you kind of spill a little bit of coffee on your shirt and it's annoying, right? Do the breath. You're going to learn that when you get annoyed or you have a little bit high stress, you're going to do the breath. You're about to do a presentation at work and you're pretty nervous about it. Do the breath, right? Your spouse texts you, we need to talk. You're like, I don't really like that. So do the breath, right? Somebody cuts you off in traffic, do the breath. You're going to kind of start teaching yourself to take these breaths in moments of high stress or frustration. And this is how you literally, you're like creating a new habit here. You are slowly teaching yourself how to make a change. All change in your life is going to come from these small changes that you make. A lot of times we want to make these huge, sweeping, massive change. And it's not to say you can't do that, right? I firmly believe in the fact that you can switch your states very quickly. And we actually do it all throughout the day. But when you're struggling, like, let's learn how to pause. Let's learn how to make daily choices in the way that you're going to act, behave, and react to things. The habits and the routines that you're going to maintain are the ones that you're consciously going to work to change, so that you can actually start to become this person that you want to be. You can start to live the life that you want to live. So some other tools are to actually start seeking a silver lining. Now, in some situations, this is much harder done than others, right? But you can start to look at a silver lining. And if you need one, no matter what's going on, you can say the silver lining is that this is giving me an opportunity to work on my emotional regulation and my emotional intelligence. You always have that. When you create that pause and you wait in a situation to even think about a silver lining, you are giving yourself the opportunity to expand, to become better, to learn how to regulate yourself in these moments. Like, this is actually quite beautiful. It's amazing. Like, and it's difficult, right? Like, I've had some things in my own life, my own personal life, that I'm like, man, it is really hard for me to see a silver lining in this. And sometimes I will at first go back and say, well, but I know at the very least, I've given myself the opportunity to work on my tools and my emotional regulation, right? So that's another one. Then you can also physically move your body. Physical movement is fantastic, right? Like, we are definitely energy beings. I have no doubt in this whatsoever. We live in a physical world. So while I believe that the facts of our world are always changing, they are malleable, right? Is that the word? So you can actually make changes to the experiences that you're having, to the way that you're perceiving things, to the life that you truly lead, right? Nothing ever stays the same. It changes. We still live in this physical world. And so you should be moving your body. You should be getting up and taking care of yourself. You should do the things that feel good and bring you joy and, create moments of happiness in your own day. So the physical movement is actually really fantastic, especially if you're a little stuck. So if you're feeling stuck and you're like, I keep doing the exercises and then I'm going back to the, spiraling of the moods and I'm dwelling in them, get up and actually physically move your body, physically move your body. I don't know, that was so hard for me to say. One of the suggestions that I actually found from a creator, Shelby Sacco, who I just find phenomenal. She is like so cute and I just love her, is to actually have a list of productivity breaks. Now, I love these because they actually get you up and doing something. So if you're finding yourself stuck, do a list of productivity breaks. And these can even be my mental diet breaks, whatever you want to call it. But what you would do is, like, one of the ones she suggested that I actually really like doing as well for some weird reason is going around and taking the trash out of all the bathrooms, right? So that's getting you up, you're physically moving your body, you're doing a different activity. You can go fold some laundry, you can take your dog out on a walk, you can clean 2 windows, you can reorganize a dresser drawer, but write out a list. The better planned that you are for these moments, the more success you'll have, right? So when you say, okay, I'm going to try this 7-day mental diet, spend the first day just watching your thoughts, paying attention, becoming aware, then start to use the tools to regulate your emotions and your nervous system when things happen or you find yourself in a position that you're not really focusing on the way or the things that you want to focus on. Now, the next part of this, right, that I want you to do, so we've gone over the steps that you can take, right? So you can do your psychological side, you can physically move your body, you can view the silver lining. The next thing that I want you to do is start asking yourself what choices are available to you. So when you have any kind of time, right, or moment, and you kind of find yourself at a fork of the road, do I continue dwelling on this thought that is not in alignment with the person I want to be, or do I do one of my activities and shift my line of thinking? Right? That's a choice that you get to make. Now, of course, the one over here is taking you away from those things that you want. You're not in alignment. The one here is leading you more towards your ideal self. These small baby steps and the choices that you make are going to be the answer that you're looking for. Over time, these are going to build to become like just the habits that you need in order to have your mental focus be in the direction that you want it to be in, right? This is where you can say like, oh yeah, actually I am able to have some more control over my emotional reactions. I am able to make a choice. And the more that you do this, the more that you start to see the opportunities that are actually available to you. I had a friend text me earlier and she was having a conversation with ChatGPT over a food related thing, right? And she was like, I didn't even see this solution until it was presented to me in this way. And this is what happens when you start to pay attention to your choices and you start to become aware and do the mental diet. All of a sudden, these possibilities and opportunities that you were closed off to before start to become more apparent to you, because you are allowing more of them. You are stopping your mind from this like cycle of frustration and spiraling and annoyance and talking poorly to yourself, and just opening up the idea that there's other things that are available to you, that there's more opportunity and choice available to you. So when you're doing this, I want you to really be aware of what opportunity you have. You have the opportunity to continue dwelling and fail your mental diet, or you have the opportunity to learn some new habits to regulate your own emotional reactions. I'm telling you, when you start to look at it this way, the mental diet becomes so much like drastically different, more manageable, and then truly it starts to create immense change in your life. So I have a video that I'll link after this one that is really about how you can use your emotional reactions to know what state you're dwelling in. It really ties to this very well. So if you want to watch that one next, it will be linked at the end of this video. I would definitely recommend it. And if you really need some additional help with this, I have actually opened up a course that is called Manage Your Moods. It is essentially your guide to truly creating a life that you want using your mental diet, using your attention, and using your focus. The link for that is down below. If you have any questions on it, you can always email me at unleashinghappiness@ceciliahendricks.com. But that course is phenomenal. It is extremely affordable. So I wanted to make sure that it was available to everyone, but you are more likely to do something when you pay for it. I'm not going to lie on that one. And so when you put in the time, the effort, and your funds behind it, you are investing in yourself. And so if you want to learn how to truly manage your emotions with a transformational process, definitely check out that course. The link will be down below. Otherwise, I wish you nothing but the absolute best, and I hope that this was helpful and that you have a beautiful rest of your week.